Thank you very much, Andy, and let me also say what a pleasure it has been to work with Andy over the years in terms of a whole series of these attitude surveys and the amazing amount of information that comes in. I'm also delighted to be able to co-chair this with Senator Danforth and to just be a part of what I think is a really remarkable way to try to tap into what is really going on in the world. Let me say that I continue to do a great deal of traveling under somewhat different circumstances than before, but basically what I find so interesting about this is that the numbers support the anecdotal evidence that I find in my travels, whether it's talking to leaders or non-governmental organizations or various groups of people abroad. There is just a great sense of anticipation and admiration for President Obama and a way of viewing America differently. And so I do think that it's always good to get the numbers to support that. I think that what we do need to understand, however, is that there is an increasingly complicated international situation, that there are issues out there that have never been dealt with before, issues that require a different approach, a different way of looking at what America can do, whether the multilateral institutions work, how they can work. So whoever would have been President of the United States at this time was going to be operating in a very, very difficult situation. Some might describe it as chaotic, and some might just describe it as challenging, but it clearly is very complicated. There are also remnants still of having had a different president for 8 years, and I do think that these numbers show it, that the U.S. had really fallen into a pretty deep hole, that we were not respected internationally, and in some cases we were feared. I think that the earlier surveys show that. The popularity of President Obama is really something that is across the board. The numbers differ a little bit, but it really is pretty remarkable. And so the question is, so what? I mean, it is very nice to have a president who's very popular, but as somebody who has been and continues to be interested in U.S. national interest, I believe that his personal popularity and the kind of new respect for the United States for having elected him, I think translates positively for our national interests. If you think about the issues that are out there that have to be dealt with, whether they are issues of how to fight terrorism, nuclear proliferation, dealing with the economic issues, looking at energy, environment, those kinds of issues that cannot be dealt with by one country alone. Having a president who is viewed as somebody who wants to use multilateral tools, wants to reach out, is respectful of other countries' interests, is something that, in fact, I think is very important and does redound well to U.S. national security interest. I think that there is no question that there is kind of an ambivalence about the United States. I think people in other countries want us to lead and yet are a little concerned about how we lead. That I think, ever has it been thus. I mean, we are the most powerful country in the world. But I do think that these new numbers on President Obama mitigate some of that concern, especially given his approach. He goes into countries, he meets with the leaders, he has town hall meetings, he is approachable to the extent any American president can mix and mingle. And so I think that helps us a lot. I do think that he's done some very smart things in terms of that play well to this popularity. I mean, he has put together a team that also reaches out. And he does, in fact, listen to what people have to say and is, this is my term, I think an inspired truth teller in terms of what the United States might have done wrong in the past, but willing to change, and also uses that then in a way to say, well, you in X country haven't exactly done the right thing either. So I think that he has a way of approaching that. I think that it is going to be interesting to see what happens with this amazing set of numbers for a particular American president, and how he translates his personal support and popularity into dealing with these particular issues. But I personally would prefer to see an American president with these kinds of numbers to the ones that were there previously, and it offers huge opportunities.